college baseball. I played pro ball, got drafted. You didn't. And the end.
Yeah, well, I'm a JD MBA and attorney, so guess who's winning now?
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. You got a nice family, ex-Dallas Cowboy, cheerleader wife. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I was talking about that this weekend with all my buddies because we had that alumni deal, and in College Station, it's like half the guys. We're almost 30 now. Half the guys are married.
Hey, you're cutting in and out.
I am?
Well, when you play with your ear, you screw with it.
Okay, so now you can hear me good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just ruined it.
It's fine. We'll edit it.
That was a good start.
That's all right. We'll edit it later. Or not.
I kind of like it, though.
Or we'll just leave it. I don't have time to be editing this stuff, dude. Anyway, so we're almost 30, and half of my friends are married with 1-2 kids, and the other half are like you, just bachelor, living by themselves, half degenerate, sort of have their life together, sort of don't, but it's okay.
I was a degenerate. I'm responsible now. I have a dog. Take care of him. I don't go out very much. Come on. Trying to get my life together. Sorry I haven't wiped someone up yet. I'm not from Texas.
I know you're talking to somebody though, right? So we'll keep that. We'll keep that out of it. Okay, here's what I wanted to start with. So we're talking about vending machines, right? You were making fun of me because I bought a couple of vending machines. Literally everyone that saw that I bought vending machines, they're like, Nick, what the hell are you doing? I mean, like you got a decent job, you got a family, you don't have time to be hustling Snickers bars and Gatorade on the weekend. And I'm gonna give you a couple of reasons why I did it, and then I want you to tell me if I'm an idiot or not. So reason number one, I did it, extra income, right? So big real estate guy. Real estate has a bunch of benefits to it. Cash flow is one of them, but it's really expensive to get into, right? Like you have a down payment, you've got to jump through all these hoops, and then you've got a tenant that you got to manage. So it's a little bit harder. This vending machine, I literally found these guys, their one machine they wanted to sell for $7,500. It does $500-$600 a month in sales. That's like, dude, that's literally you get your money back in a year or 18 months based on the margin. So that's number one. Is on paper, it's just a pretty good investment, right? Number two is for the content. So both of us have YouTube channels. I thought it was just going to be great content. Like either I'm gonna buy this and it's going to be a total dumpster fire, and like I'm going to lose money, and it'd be good to film that because then people can see, okay, it's not all it's hyped up to be, right? Or I'm just an idiot and screwed it up. Or it goes well, and then I buy more, and people can watch that. They're like, oh, okay, well, from the beginning, I've been filming how I found the people, how I thought about buying it, how I made an offer, first time I filled it, first time I got money from it. Like, I think that's good content. So that's reason number two. And reason number three, I forgot, but I'm sure I'll remember here in a second.
Yeah. You and every other vending machine dealer out there on YouTube.
Yeah, but I'm not a dealer, dude. I'm just a supplier. Infiltrate the dealer, find the supplier.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here's my take on it. I agree with you. Real estate is expensive. It takes a lot to get in. At the end of the day, when you pay off your initial investment, you're making $600 a month, which is more than most real estate properties do if you rent and you just do a normal long-term rent month to month. It's hard to find anything in real estate right now where you're making more than a couple hundred a month, unless you're doing Airbnb, which you can talk about later about your Airbnb strategy and how there's also somewhat of an Airbnb bubble. I think it's mostly in certain locations, but that's another story.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think what you're doing is actually smart. The only issue that I have is my questions are like, you just told me a lot of the reasons why you bought it. It makes sense financially. You're making money when you pay it off in 2 years, maybe 1 year.
Yeah.
We'll 1 year or so, you'll pay it off. And then it's all profit from there on out. My question is, for a couple that's young and sold this business for $7,500, why would they do that? And you can't tell me it's because they wanted to get into a different industry or different business. It's a great way to make passive income because $7,500 is not going to make or break another business for them. And if they've been doing this long enough, they've probably already made their money back, right? Unless they were in desperate need of money. Secondly, I think I value your time.
Yeah.
I think you value your time. You get paid pretty you get paid pretty well, which means your time is valuable. And you spend 1-2 times a week, an hour or so, going to go shop, going to go fill these vending machines. At some point, I imagine you'll get sick of it. And will you ever end up like those people where you're like, oh, this was great passive income. I want to sell it. For me, when I want to invest in passive income businesses, I think about it in a perpetuity. I don't really ever think about it as like, I'm going to sell this, right? Like I bought rental properties, I bought my property because I'm going to keep it forever. And one day when I own it, I'm going to be making, between these two, $5,000 a month, just two of them.
Well,
right? Like that's
when you say own it, you're talking about having it paid off, which we'll come back to that too. Because I hope you never pay it off.
Well, that's a topic. So I guess I can continue to refinance, but again, different topic, different day.
Well, let's go to that in a second because I want to talk about that. Because I think the real estate, everyone's talking about the real estate market crash too, which is interesting to me. But okay, so real quick, so you said why, and then time. So why did they sell it? I mean, look, let's be honest. I don't know why they sold it, right? Like, I can tell you what they told me, and I can tell you what I, think why they sold it, but ultimately I have no idea. They told me, so they've got 10 locations. I bought one of their locations. They told me it's becoming too much of a headache for them, and they wanted to get into a different business, right? Which I'm like, okay, I hear you. I get that it's a headache. You got to go fill it up once a week. Takes an hour or two. Once a week, right? So it's not like it's 100% passive where you just have mailbox money coming in. That's not the case, right? You're working a little bit. It's mostly passive because you're making money and you're not there, right? Anyway, so why they sell it, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that, and this is me, I work in management consulting, and I have an operations background. So to me, I saw a lot of opportunities with what they were doing. They have these two machines are in an office building, a white collar workspace. They didn't have credit card readers on them, and they were selling everything for $1. So I can tell you that they weren't the most sophisticated operators, right?
Let's hope they're not watching this. And if you are, forgive my friend.
Yeah, maybe they see this one. They're good guys. I mean, and they know that. They told me, they're like, look, we're only charging $1. You could probably raise price. Like, they just came out and said that. So it's not like it's a secret. But anyway, so I saw just a value add opportunity that I don't think they really appreciated, because when you know a lot about business, you know that the amount of money a business makes, whether it's a piece of real estate or a vending machine or a lemonade stand, like the amount of money you make is directly correlated with the value. So if you make more money, it's more valuable. So to me, I'm like, I'll pay $7,500 for what it's doing today, right now, and they'll sell it for that, for what it's doing today, right now. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to raise prices, which I already did. Candy bars are now $1.75. Not selling Snickers for $1 when it cost me 80 cents. And I put credit card readers on there because everyone in there is like you and me walking around with credit cards. They don't have cash. I don't even carry cash.
Yeah. No.
So again, I'm talking about why I bought it again, but question why they sold it, I don't know. They said it was a headache. And maybe it's a headache, right? But another side note is, for me, I work from home all day, every single day, and I got to get out of the house sometimes. And if I need to, make a business trip to Costco and go fill up some vending machines, to me, that's fun right now. Maybe in the future it's not, but I can outsource it to somebody, which you and I have talked about.
Which is kind of what I wanted to say. It's like, to me, any business that you're making money and you've already returned, gotten your return on your investment, I don't feel that that's a headache. I feel that that's like a great opportunity. You know what I mean? And like you said, the outsourcing, right? It's like, find a high school student who wants to work, spend 2 hours a week, pay him $20 to do those 2 hours, or $20 an hour, makes $40. He does all the work for you, and you don't ever have to worry about it again. And now it's literally passive income. And so what I don't understand is why anyone would buy a business and then sell it for, like, in my opinion, pennies on the dollar, because $7,500 bucks. But I don't. Maybe they got a little bit.
Sounds like nothing. So everyone that I've talked about this is like, that's the first question I ask. Why would they sell this? It sounds like you stole this thing from them, right? That's just the going rate for vending machine businesses. Like if you go on bizbuysell.com or you go on Facebook Marketplace, like people that are selling vending machine businesses, meaning two machines already placed at a location, they can prove that it's actually making money. The way that it's like valued is either the cost of the equipment plus like a year's worth of profit, which is what I paid, or 1 year of sales maybe. But both of those numbers get you to like $7,000, $7,500.
Yeah, but you know what I'm adding too? I'm adding in the value of where it's located. And the reason I say that is because space, like I've looked into buying a vending machine. I haven't looked into buying, something that's already out there, but getting the space is the hardest part. You look at all the hospitals already taken. You look at bus stops already taken. You look at places that have heavy foot traffic, a lot of them are already taken. To get into the business and be successful, you practically have to, without doing a ton of legwork, you practically have to find a business that's already being operated. And so you should also value in the plot of land or, the location, because now it's like, that's yours in the perpetuity. I already did the work for you. Here's all, I value this spot.
That's what goes into to valuing the business, right? Like where it's located is it's the driver for how much it makes. So when you value it on how much it makes, where it's located is key. And then I think, back to the time question too. So the time we already touched on, I could hire somebody if I wanted to get my time back. That's great. But I also I know that there's a more, like the cheapest way to get in the vending business is to do what you just said. Go buy your own machine and go find your own location. Like literally go door to door, talk to business owners, pitch them on putting a vending machine. You'll eventually find someone that wants a machine there, right? But that takes a lot of time. Time that I don't have. I don't have time to go knock doors and sell people on vending machines. So I'll pay the premium to have them already in place, right? Like I don't have a problem writing the check to go and buy them already there, because to me it's like buying a business. The risk is they kick me out.
How long did they have this location for?
They've had it for I think 3 years.
Okay, so how much is a machine typically? $800?
It really depends on how old it is, what kind of shape it's in. I can tell you the ones that I bought, the guy so a typical machine, you can get one for $1,500. Right? It's going to work off of Facebook Marketplace. You can get them as cheap as $800, $900. I don't know enough about them to inspect if they're going to work and stuff. So I was like, I don't even want to mess with that. Right? Like I'll buy some machine that doesn't work because I know nothing about vending machines.
Yeah.
But so yeah, $1,500 to $2,000, I think is kind of the average. The two that I bought, I asked the guy that put credit card machines on there how much he thought they're worth. And he works for Canteen, which is like a huge vending company, does all their credit card readers.
Yeah.
He goes, that right there is a Bev Max Dixie Narco 5800. People can Google this. He's like, that's worth like $5,000 in the shape that it's in, easy. And then he's like, that one, and new, they go for like $8,000 or $9,000, I think. And he's like, that one right there is a automatic products, blah, blah, blah. That's like a $2,000 machine. So then I was like, oh, so I didn't get ripped off is what you're saying. He's like, no, you got a pretty good deal. So I was
the only reason I asked that question is because I was thinking, I was like, okay, we said, I think it's stupid that they sold, but if it was $1,000 machines, a couple $1,000 machines, they've had it for 3 years. They've already made, 10,000, I don't know, hypothetically $10,000. And then they just made another 7,500. So really this investment, they're up, $20,000, let's say. Sure. Get rid of it. We need that, whatever. But it doesn't seem like that's the case after you just told me that. So it leaves me like, I'm even more confused, like why they would sell that for so cheap unless they got those machines, unless they like bought those machines broken and they refurbished them or something like that.
Maybe. I don't know. You'd be surprised how many people are just tired of that egg or something. Maybe 2 weeks from now, I'm like, holy shit, I figured out why they sold it. Like this thing doesn't do X, Y, and Z, or maybe they boot me from the building and they knew that was coming. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But here's what I was going to say. So I think what you just said is a perfect opportunity for somebody to make a ton of money. And that's buy their own machines, sell their own locations. You're into this business now for $3,000, right? You just paid for 2 machines. You got the location by selling it yourself. That's free. right? You're into this business for $3,000. Say you get a hospital and now it's doing $3,000 a month of sales. Someone like me will come and buy that for $36,000 for 30 grand. So you just basically turn a $3,000 investment into a $30,000 asset that you can sell to somebody that wants the cash flow. And if you roll up 10, 15, 20 of these things, like I think you could make a ton of money. So
yeah, I think it goes
like
back
if I
to,
was broke as hell, I'd be doing that. Like this week, I would just be knocking doors, selling vending machine locations. And then as soon as I sold the location, go buy the machine, stick it there, wrap them in a package. I'd call Clayton and say, hey, Clayton, these are making this much. I'll sell them to you for X. You're going to make 10X on that money.
see, we
Easy.
need to start a business where we connect vending people who want to have operators with locations. We need to have a place that has all the locations that need vending machines. And when they make a deal, we get part of the proceeds. Because honestly, that's the hardest part, right? Is like figuring out where the best locations are. And typically, like I'm in Chicago, the best locations are going to be taken. This is a pretty saturated market. Vending machines are everywhere, just like ATMs are everywhere, right? It's hard to get in and establish yourself because you have to do it at a location where there's heavy foot traffic. I mean, it's a problem with brick and mortar stores, right? If there's no foot traffic, you're going to go out of business because no one's walking in your store. You can't pay rent, But at a place like, you're at, pretty good. You go to a hospital and you're racking in the cash. And so I guess it comes down to is like, where are new hospitals being built? And you go and, for pre-development, you figure out.
Find the developer, yes. Like if you're in real estate, that's probably a good segue to real estate too. But like if you're in real estate and you know somebody that knows somebody that's developing a building or an apartment, get in front of them and I'm like, I'll do that.
But if I'm a developer, I'm also starting a vending machine business. Every building I develop in Chicago, I'm putting in vending machines.
Yeah. I mean, you would think that, but I don't know. I'm not a developer. I just think that a vending machine for a big developer like that, there's not enough, the juice is not worth the squeeze for them to do that.
Give it to your son. Give it to your daughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a passive income opportunity. Like you said, we can have someone else do all the work. Pay them pennies on the dollar.
Have your property manager that runs the place do it. Yeah.
I mean, shoot, there are even people that are like, okay, they'll go do Uber Eats for an hour and make $20 when they could go spend 30 minutes filling these machines and make 40.
Okay, that I can't stand when people do their side hustle is driving DoorDash or something. I think that's the worst idea of all time. Like,
all right, well,
because exactly.
If you don't have skills or don't have the cash, what other side hustles are you doing?
Okay, well, that's fair. So get a little bit of cash, but you just said it right there. Like you can either go. It goes back to the time and the money thing, right? So you can trade your time for money on DoorDash, or you can save a little bit. Maybe you got to start there, raise some money, right? Fine. But a vending machine business is a prime example of something that doesn't require a lot of money and doesn't require a lot of time. And you can make the same exact amount of money doing that, probably more than you can driving DoorDash, except now you're learning about how to run a business. You're learning about how to value a business. Like you're learning all these things that are transferable skills into something of value instead of, driving a freaking car around, dropping off McDonald's for people.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I agree with you. And ultimately, look, all it takes to start that type of business is a little bit of money. You don't need skills. You'll develop skills, right? It's part sales, it's part operations, understanding.
It's everything. Little finance,
buy
for this, sell for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity. I just think it's harder to find good opportunities that like what you found was a great opportunity. I don't think it's as easy as that all the time. Right. Like, you got to find good locations, and the good locations are going to be priced higher. I think you got a great deal. I don't know the whole backstory. Maybe you get screwed in the end, but that's not, as of right now, it's setting up to be a very positive ROI long-term. If you do it for 5 years and then you sell the business back after you've made, $20,000, you sell it and like, all right, I made 20,000. I'm selling it for 10,000. There we go. I just made $23,000 on my investment doing literally nothing.
Yeah. And I can take my kids over there and they'll have fun doing it and they'll learn a little bit. Maybe I'll roll them up. Like I was saying earlier, maybe the next thing, I'll have 50 of these things.
And then it'll be known as the vending machine god. But I see YouTube videos all the time of like these young kids, like in high school, just ripping vending machines, So I mean,
it's like
no, I just mean
stealing from them, or
no, just like have tons of locations making tons of cash.
Oh yeah, dude,
it's
doable. Like I believe it. There's
there's
like 350K a year or something a couple years ago.
I mean, we also have to think like the location I'm in, Chicago. It's a saturated market. You go into a suburb, right? It might not be as saturated. There might be a lot more opportunities there. I think it comes down to is like the location, and then just taking advantage of the cities. Like you go to Wilsonville, which is where I'm from. I bet you there's a lot more opportunities there than Chicago. Just because there's more entrepreneurs here that are thinking about that type of side hustle versus like a small, rural suburban town.
Yeah, so, exactly. I'm with you. Okay. What else you got here? Because I want to talk about real estate, but I know you've got some stuff on the list.
What do I have on the list?
Sports stories, economic conditions.
No, I don't really care right now.
We talked a little bit about entrepreneurship. So let's talk about real estate then. So we both own property, right? I think I told you how much we just leased that house for, right? Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll run through that here in a second, because I think that's another good tip for people. This is twice now that we've kind of set the market for rent in this suburb outside of Dallas, and I think I've figured out the secret sauce on how to do that. So real quick, real estate market though. I'm not going to pretend to be some economic expert, but just based on common sense, here's how I think about real estate. People have three options in life. You buy, rent, or you're homeless, right? You probably saw my video on that. You can buy, you can rent, or you can go homeless. So even when it's more expensive to borrow, like it is right now, right? Interest rates are 6.5, maybe going up, maybe coming down, who knows? It's more expensive to buy the same house than it was 12 months ago. So demand went down. And when demand goes down, the price usually follows, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing is the real estate market is drifting down.
But my question is, when the market goes down, so do people who want to sell their homes. So for those who are in the market to sell,
okay, keep going. Keep going.
If supply is low, then they can price accordingly, right? Because there are going to be buyers in every market. I mean, it depends on where you're located, obviously. But I bought my place in November of 2021. I bought my rental in May of 2022. And through all this economic turmoil, they've both gone up and they haven't dropped. And rent has gone up in both of them. And demand is still there, right? It's a good location though. So I think location matters. But I also think you got to be smart when you're selling, right?
I think the supply side, like when people want to sell, that's the trickier part of the equation, because when demand starts to trickle down, you got two things happening. Number one, people that were kind of on the fence about selling their house are not going to sell because they're like, well, now it's way more expensive for me to go buy a different house. So I'm going to double my mortgage payment just to get a little bit of equity out of my house. No way. I'm not going to do that. Right. Why would I do that? That's stupid. Or you've got the people, I guess on the other side of the spectrum would be like you're panic selling, right? But I don't think there's that many panic sellers, people that have to sell, right? Death, divorce, whatever. I don't know. That's what kind of takes the market down. So it's weird because the demand is kind of lower, but the supply is lower, and the only people selling are the people that have to sell. So it kind of shows up in the price. You know what I mean? It's like, if something sells, it's because someone had to sell. So therefore the price was a little bit lower because the demand's not there. So then you see the headline, oh my God, median sales price is down 8%, 10%, whatever it is. When in reality, if is that really the going rate of a house? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's tricky, but I don't see it. I don't know.
Well, we're not in the business of selling homes, right? We're in the business of using them for passive income and renting them out. And, like you said earlier, you set a market rate for your old family home, right? In the suburbs of Dallas. Yeah. And I did something similar, right? It was at the beginning of like economic, I forget, it was like the summer of 2022, right? It was like the rental market's hot. And my realtor was like, you probably won't get more than 2,000, 2,100. I mean, she said that a lot, right? And I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. And we listed it. Like, I was posting on Facebook like multiple times a day. I was,
oh geez,
every day, right? I think at some point I might have got banned from one of the Chicago Facebook sites for posting too much. And I started out at 2,200 and I just got like a ton of hits. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go higher and I'm just going to see it. I'm just going to see what happens, right? I guess like I'd rather start high and have to go low than like price too low and then be like, damn, I just lost out on $200, right? And I ended up renting it out through Craigslist and, I got 24.25. So she thought I was going to get 20.
Oh, you got your tenant on Craigslist? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And she was like, you're not going to get more than 2,100 unless you do updates. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do updates. This is a rental. And we just priced it at 24.25. It comes with a garage spot. It's in the West Loop. It's a good location, 2 bed, 1 bath, safe, park right there, great food 2 blocks away. It's a good spot.
Right.
I definitely set market for a 2 bed, 1 bath and definitely in that building. And like I still think look, we've even talked about increasing rent, because it would be dumb if I didn't. So
it'd be interesting to ask your realtor to pull comps on that building because condo comps are so easy because everything's the same in a condo building, right? All the 2 bed, 1 baths are basically the same. Maybe some have a balcony, maybe some have this, some have that. So when people saw that you got 2,400 or 2,425, immediately that should have given them the comp to say, okay, that one just rented for this. Now we're raising rents, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how you set the market.
It should have. But I still follow like one of the sites, right? And I saw a 2 bed, 1 bath in that building with a balcony and they were renting it for 2,100. And I don't know what happened. I was just like, I hope my tenants don't see this. I hope my tenants don't see this because, but I feel like
on the MLS.
What?
If you rented it through Craigslist, did it hit the MLS or no? Did your realtor list it for rent and then say it?
No one listed. It was never listed on the MLS.
Okay, well so that's why. So you technically did it off market then. So
yeah.
So no one. So no one saw that comp basically because it's off market. So what I would have done if I was your realtor, you need to get your license, dude. I'm licensed and I only represent myself, and it's just good, I think, to like being able to see comps on the MLS. Just having MLS access is worth it to me. Yeah,
well, my mom's the CEO of Oregon Realtors. I think I have access to MLS.
Well, there you go. Tell her to help you out. Yeah. So what I would have done is I would have leased it, however you want to lease it, at 2,400, and then I would have logged that on the MLS as a comp because then everyone else in the building raises rent, which makes it easier on you the next year to raise rent. So now you're kind of setting the market. But
I will say that, I think my mortgage is around like 1950, 1980, right? So I'm making like $450. And I was like, I got a great rate. I got 2 tenants. They're both lawyers, take care of the place. Every time there's an issue, they let me know immediately, right? They don't delay. Issues don't get worse. We take care of it right away. I got some great renters, and I think that's important too. But what I've been doing with that profit, and I've talked to you about this, and I've done videos on YouTube about it, is basically, utilize like Home Depot, right? If you have a Home Depot card, a lot of those big purchases, 12 to 24 months interest-free financing, right? And it just goes on the credit card. And you just pay it off over time. I got new floors in both bedrooms. Empire Today does 12 months interest-free financing. I bought a new washing machine, new fridge, all through Home Depot. And that $450 covers all the minimum payments I need for those 3 things each month to where I'm paying it off on time, paying no interest, right? And so now this year, when I go to them with a new lease, I can say, look, we got you a new fridge, we got you a new washing machine, we got you new floors. And, we plan to continue to do this, right? Because I want to leverage the money we're making to improve the place, attract tenants if they have to leave, right? If they have to leave and market and, the market is not 24, 25, I want to be able to justify, be like, my past renters are paying $24.25, and since they moved in, I've done these things to make it better. It is worth its value. And so, the property value is going up, and that doesn't even take into consideration the improvements that are being made. And we still want to get like a new dishwasher, because a lot of these appliances that the guy bought it from, they're old as hell. They're like 10, 15, 20 years old. A lot of them have broken down, but my tenants are like very easy to please. They're like, as long as it works, we don't care. But it's
I can't believe you found lawyers tenants on Craigslist, by the way. That's insane to me.
I know. Well, they came from a situation in a further part of town. It's closer to their work, which is in the South Loop, which is where all the big, law firms are. And they came from a very bad landlord situation. They hated the landlord. And so I think like also it goes to show is like, if you're a good landlord, people are going to stay longer, and they're probably going to be willing to pay more. They're going to be willing to pay more because it's a good situation for them. They trust me, right? Like I have their security deposit in a savings account in the bank, like the law requires, right? I don't think they saw a penny of their old security deposit, and because the landlords probably commingled funds and didn't follow the law, right? But as long as they don't break anything, they'll get their security deposit back. I have their trust. They're going to stay as long as I'm making them happy. And I think before they moved in, they're like, we want to be here for 2 or 3 years. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
I want to make this
I think a lot of people don't do that, right? They screw up the landlord-tenant relationship. Your tenants are your clients. Like, those are your customers. They're literally paying for the service and the product that you provide, which is a house, and keeping the house nice. So treat them right, and they'll treat you right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to run into a situation where I've got tenants trying to hold rent out or something, or God knows what, just because I wouldn't fix something. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not worth it. Like, keep the tenants happy, make life good for them, and then they'll treat you right. So
yeah, they'll stay.
I think that's good.
Right? They'll stay as long as they can, until they want to go buy their own place. Really, is what it comes down to. Because I don't think my tenants.
Some people don't.
What?
Some people
don't.
Some don't.
Some don't. But I would hope 2 attorneys, a married attorney couple, will eventually buy their own place. But with those degrees come debt, and it's not like there's a ton of free cash flow around to buy. It goes back to like your original point, but when we talked about vending machines, was the reason real estate's so hard to get into is it's so expensive. When you look at how much you have to put down for a property, if it's your first time, yes, you can get 3%, right? And honestly, that's a great opportunity. But if you're looking to buy like an investment property, there's very few mortgage companies that will give you anything less than 20-25% down. And on a $255,000 property, which isn't that much, you're putting down close to $70,000 between your down payment and closing costs and other fees. And not a lot of people have just $70,000 cash laying around, right?
Yeah. So, well, statistically, almost nobody.
Well, if you think about the
savings rates at an all-time low,
rates at all-time low, credit card debts at an all-time high, right? Yeah.
Dude, things are so funny how it's so funny to me how, so like your first question, everybody's first question about the vending machine business is, why would anybody sell that? Well, the first question I get about when I tell people how much we're getting in rent on our properties is, why would they just buy a house? Why are they renting? Why would they just buy? I'm like, you got to think a little bit bigger than just yourself. You're like, some people don't have good credit for whatever reason. Maybe they have a bunch of student loans. Maybe they can't save money. It's expensive to get into a house. And a lot of times renting could be a better option in the short term for them if they don't need to come up with a huge down payment and all this stuff. But real quick, you said a couple of things that I think are interesting. So you said, I wrote down service improvements and property value. So we talked about service, right? Landlord-tenant relationship. I think that's important. Improvements, that's a great way to get above market rent. We did the same thing. We did a bunch of paint. We pay for security, home security systems, smart home stuff. I pay for lawn care, bought a washer and dryer for all of our units, like all this stuff that when you put it together, it's like $250, $300 of value for them on a monthly basis, right? That helps me get a better rent number. And then property values. I don't think people follow property values enough, because if you look at, I'll just use one of our houses as an example. We bought a house in 2019 for $335 or $340 grand. It costs us $2 grand a month. principal, interest, tax, insurance. So our payment is $2,000 a month. We get $3,350 in rent. And most people are like, oh my God, why are they paying that? Well, if you were to buy that house today, it would cost you $3,800 because the house is now worth $500,000 and interest rates are at 6.5%. So you can either, regardless of what my payment is, take that out of it. I've owned it for a few years. You can either rent the same property for $3,350, or you can buy it for a whole bunch of cash up front and $3,800 a month. So what's a better deal for the tenant? Renting. You know what I mean? So why would I rent my property for $2,400 or $2,500 when I can get $3,350 out in the market by providing a little bit of extra value and just based on common sense math that, you know, makes sense for the tenant. So I think anybody that's a landlord or thinking about becoming a landlord, improvements in property value are two things that I'd follow really closely, because the same thing goes when the market turns a little bit, right? Like maybe rents historically have stayed pretty constant, but if it now becomes cheaper for somebody to buy a house than rent it from you, it's going to be harder to get tenants because they could just buy it, you know? So anyway, I was pretty stoked about us getting the big rent number. I know you guys are about to raise, so hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is...
People are going to hate me and watching this video. They're going to be like, this is a greedy landlord trying to take everybody's money.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is like, yes, there is a sense of greed there, but like, we're not rich. We're not billionaires. We're not millionaires. We're not BlackRock, right? Like, that's greedy. Buying up entire neighborhoods, increasing the price on all of them. That's greedy, right? Like that is ruining the American dream. We're trying to live the American dream, right? Like we're doing this to make more money for us and our families and our future, right? Just like anyone else who's an individual would do. Greediness is BlackRock buying entire neighborhoods, increasing, you know, and then selling one property for $400 that they bought for $320. And now every single property in that neighborhood goes up $80,000 and they list them all for sale or they rent them out, right? That's greedy, but you know, that's corporate greed in a way, but you know, that's a business and it is what it is. I can't, what am I supposed to do? Stop BlackRock, protest BlackRock? Like, no, I can't do that. But what I can do is buy the properties and not sell them to them and do it myself and make money myself.
So BlackRock, so you're telling me if BlackRock says we'll give you $450 and I offer you $425, you're going to take my $425 because I'm not BlackRock?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess it depends.
No, I'd say.
I guess it depends on my money.
$25,000. I don't care. Here you go.
Yeah,
BlackRock.
I don't know. I mean,
keys are yours.
No, but I think you get my point, though, right? It's like we don't have 1,000 properties right now. Like we have a few. You know, I have two. You have 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think the point is, though, like the principle of all that to me is we're providing a value to people. That's what capitalism is all about. You provide value, and he or she who provides the most value gets compensated as such, right? And so if you want to make money in this world, you have to provide value. We're doing a form of that with real estate. We are providing a nice place to live, safe, up to date, got all the bells and whistles. That is a product and a service, because we keep up with it, that people pay for. It's as simple as that. But we're providing a value and we get compensated for it.
Also though, we have to think about, right? Like as great and nice people we could be to maintain the price forever, property insurance goes up. Inflation is more than double than what it was when we bought our properties, right? Like, and if we have cash into there, like we need money. We have to survive on our own too. Like I said, we're not rich. We're not trust fund babies. We're not, you know, we don't have millions of dollars in the bank where it's like, inflation doesn't hurt us. Like I have to get a second job as a baseball coach. I work for General Motors, make pretty good money. And I have to go get a second job as a baseball coach, you know, on the side, just to be able to say, okay, I can pay all my bills and I can have, you know, enjoy my life as a 27-year-old. If I didn't do that, if I didn't make $6,000 to $8,000 over the past 8 months doing baseball lessons, which is a lot of time as well, I wouldn't have been able to do the things I've been able to do. And that's due to inflation. When a burger goes from $15 to $22, like, and my salary is not increasing at the rate of inflation, I don't have any other choice, but I have to do that. I have to make these changes, increase the price because I have to survive.
Hey, you're preaching the choir, dude. I'm selling Snickers bars for a living here. Like, I'm the opposite of wealth. I literally buy candy at Costco and sell it in a vending machine.
Yeah,
Man, I gotta feed my family, dude.
well, yeah. I mean, I
But
just think it's funny when people, I'll never forget. This is a funny story. Is like when I bought my property over here, right? The rental property. Me and my buddy Andrew, we have a partnership. We bought it together 50-50. I was listening to it every day on Facebook, right? I kid you not. Someone messaged me and was like, you just bought this property? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Like, are you interested in checking out for rent? And they're like, we tried buying it. I can't believe you bought it to rent it. Like, and then mother after
you're
me.
Kidding.
No, I swear to God, this happened. And I'm like so taken back right now that this woman's bitter. Like, if you wanted it, I paid. You know what I paid? I paid asking.
Yeah.
I didn't pay $20,000 more. I paid asking, right? Like, if you wanted it, you shouldn't have lowballed them.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, and I had an escalation clause. So I was willing to go up to like 265 because I thought someone would pay at least asking, maybe more. They didn't. They accepted my offer immediately. So it's like, you can't be mad at me. I didn't do anything, I didn't do anything wrong. I bought it for the price they asked. Like, if you want to get mad at someone, blame the seller. He knew what I was buying it for. Like, so I just think that's a funny story of like a potential buyer getting mad at me because they lowballed the seller and I didn't. So
yeah, that is funny, dude. People, yeah. It blows our mind.
No, it's like
people,
they
like,
mother
find a way
me
to
on
blame
Facebook.
everybody else. Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude. I don't get that.
But I guess, that's where we live in. It's like, if you don't get your way, you got to point fingers and blame someone else. It's like, it's a free market. Everyone had the ability to put in an offer. It's like, if you wanted to the property, your realtor should have told you about the escalation clause and you wouldn't have lost it. Right?
I don't dude. Oh my God. Don't even get me started on realtors. I feel like I'm technically a realtor here. I don't really use it. I'm not an acting realtor, but I technically am a realtor. So I feel like I can say this. Most realtors don't know what the hell they're doing. It blows my mind. They literally have no idea. Literally, they changed what they measured and how they measured it so that they could make it go down. Like, they removed certain items and changed the weighting. You know what I mean? For housing, they were using owner equivalent rent or something. Like, it's just all BS. So I think that the CPI basically is manipulated. And tomorrow, I think they'll probably make it so that it does what they want to do, and I think that most likely means that it's going to be down, but who knows?
Okay, but also what is it, unemployment rate? I don't understand how unemployment rate is at an all-time low when you still see fast food joints understaffed. You still see the largest companies in this country cutting thousands of employees. I think it has to do, and I don't know how they measure employment, but for example, I have a part-time job as a, contract baseball coach. I have a 1099 for that, right? I wonder if they're counting that as a second job. We opened an LLC today. I opened an LLC for another consulting business that me and a couple of buddies wanted to run. I opened an LLC for my rental property. Are they counting opening LLCs as a job? I want to know what they're taking into consideration, because there's no way unemployment's at an all-time low right now. There's just no way. I can't.
Well, that's what they were saying about the JOLTS report, right? The job report came out and it was like way over what they thought. And I think I saw people say that. They were like, well, people are getting 2 jobs now because it's so expensive for them to live. I don't know how they count a job. I want to see if I can just Google it. How do they measure?
Because you just bought a vending machine business. You're making money. That's income. Is that a job?
Labor force participation rate, number of people in the labor force as a percentage. Okay, that doesn't tell me how they get the number, though.
Because our Fed and our government, they want to twist the definition of things like inflation, right? 2 consecutive quarters of GDP down. That happened.
You know how it did, but now GDP's back up. You know how I think they do it probably is this could be
1099s
totally wrong.
or
No,
W-2s.
this could be no, I think they take what is the labor force number, which now that I'm saying this out loud, maybe this doesn't make sense, but what's the labor force number? Meaning we have X amount of people over the age of 18 in the US based on a census. How many people filed for unemployment divided by that number is the unemployment rate. That's how I would do it if I was measuring this. Unemployment is just how many applications for unemployment did I get versus how many people can legally work. And that's my rate. That I would be okay with. What I don't know is
that would make sense then, but where are all these jobs coming from?
Well, I think the economy is, doing just fine. Like I look around, use the rental rate as an example. Like people are talking about the real estate market crashing and there's no demand. Well, my rental just leased with, a bunch of demand way over market and people can pay it. Dude, the applicant makes more money than we do. Like the people that are leasing from us, they make way more money than we do. They've got great jobs.
That goes back to the point of consumer debt, though. Why are they not buying? There's a reason that they're not buying.
I looked at their credit report. Their credit's fine. I mean, I don't know how much. I guess it's not public, so I can talk about it. But the lady's going through a divorce, and she's moving in with her boyfriend, basically, is what's happening. So that could be a little risque for me, to be honest. But anyway, that's what's happening. So she literally moved out of like some $1 million home and is renting from me now. So
okay, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I want the economy to do well. I want the market to do well, but I also want it to reflect reality, right? When you see credit card debt at an all-time high, right? And I would say a big proponent of credit card debt is people like, I buy everything on my credit card. We've talked about this. You are an advocate of that, right? But you're also an advocate of what you buy on your credit card, you should have the money to pay off immediately, right? You don't carry debt month to month unless it's 0% interest, right?
Don't even do that. I was going to say, when you were talking about that earlier, I wouldn't even do that.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't hurt my credit. In fact, it helps. And look, it's money I'm not spending out of pocket. It's for my business. So, it is what it is. I don't carry debt month to month. But right, like I use my credit card. I think people who are finance savvy use credit cards. And I think a lot of those people, tend to be people that can get credit cards and make good money, right? And we just saw over 200,000 people of like our world's biggest companies, high payers. I would have to imagine they're making 150 to 300,000. A lot of those people that were fired, 100 to 300, those people are carrying mortgages. They're carrying credit card debt. They're carrying car payments, right? And you're telling me that like they have the money to just pay it off if savings rate is at an all-time low, 2.3%. Or it's like
they should have the skills. The people that get laid off, especially from the tech company, should have the skills to just get another job, to be honest. And if you don't, well, then you need to reskill.
Yeah, but I also think though, right? Like, GM is hiring, company I work for. We have like over 700 roles. A lot of them are software-based product managers, program managers, a lot of the same people that were fired at all those tech companies. But, a lot of them aren't remote anymore. So how many of those people, got comfortable working from home every day and, or going into an office in Santa Clara and San Jose and, Austin, Texas. And they're like, I don't want to move to Detroit.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's yes, they can probably get jobs, but like now they're like GM's hiring, Ford's firing people, right? Like GM's uniquely positioned right now. We have a great management team. Great
All right.
Hey, I'm just saying, bro, we made $15 billion last year. 15 billion. I'm just saying, we're not the ones firing people.
Though? I'm going to look at GM financials and poke holes in there.
We're not the ones firing people though. We're hiring.
What's your gross margin per vehicle?
Oh, margin per vehicle. That's low. I don't think that's where we make our money. I think it's through financing and we have OnStar subscriptions. We have GM Insurance. We have a used car company called Car Bravo. We have BrightDrop. Unique thing about BrightDrop, they're EV last mile delivery. They were the fastest company, one of the fastest companies ever to reach $1 billion in revenue. Like of all the tech companies, they surpassed them. So, I just think we have, an energy business. I think GM's done a good job of diversifying their business model, where a lot of typical OEMs, which are legacy auto manufacturers, haven't done a good job of diversifying their revenue streams. I think one of our biggest revenue generators, which is actually a lot of risk. I think there's risk, and I also think there might not be, is GM Financial, right? We sell cars to dealers, they buy the cars, then someone buys a car through, financed option. We technically buy the vehicle back, and now they're paying us, interest on the car payments, right? So we're double dipping. We sell the car to the dealer. We buy it back through financing. But my question to you is it a risk in a bad economic situation to be the company financing all these vehicles? What happens if so many people default? Well,
I don't know what they do I don't know enough about how that works, to be honest with you. So short answer, I would say yes. You don't want to be holding debt for people that are going to default, because then your investment is worthless, right? Like that's kind of what happened in 2008. We had a bunch of mortgages that people stopped paying on. The banks were holding them, and they were worthless now. So you do not want to hold on to that kind of debt. But what I don't know is how does that back office work, to where does GM do they hold the note in-house? Like if I finance you a car and you're paying 5% interest, am I financing it to you, or am I doing the loan and then selling that loan to somebody else as an investment? I have no idea. So if GM is doing the latter, meaning they're doing the financing and then selling it, then they'd be fine because it's off their books. Right. But if they're holding it, then no, I don't think that's good.
I will say.
So here's a question.
But answer this for me while we're on the topic of GM Financial, which they're a subsidiary of GM. They're not within the GM holding. I mean, I think they're
they're a subsidiary, then they roll up into the
right. But I think they created a subsidiary to reduce the liability of the company, right? So if they go under, but my question is
bankruptcy just for that subsidiary, and then.
But my question is if you default, can't we collect assets? Can't we, take your home? I mean, I hate to say that. I'm curious. I'm not saying we do. I have no idea.
I don't know, man. I should probably know that. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. A car loan is they can take your car. What's the collateral? The collateral is the car, right? They come and they take the car back, but they'd have to go after you personally to get anything else. And no one can take your home, really, because your home, if it's homestead, they can't come after your home.
But I will say, I think that's why we started Car Bravo. We wanted to have a secondary market for vehicles as well. And I think okay, we take the car and then we just try to resell it on Car Bravo. Maybe we'd lose a little bit, but I think, over term,
you repo the car and then just sell it back. I met a guy that was doing that sort of with real estate, where he would lease to really bad tenants. They would pay first, last security deposit, then they would, stop paying. He'd evict them, keep all their money, and then put someone else in there. And he was just churning through bad tenants, and he made a bunch of money doing that.
That sounds absolutely miserable. That sounds miserable.
It sounds awful, but there's money to be made in doing that kind of stuff. So let me ask you a question. If I told you that if you invested $130 in my business that I just started, and this year I would, hold on a second. I would show you how much? $5 in earnings. Am I doing a pretty good job? You gave me $130 to go invest. And I said, hey, Clayton, I did really good this year. I made $5. What would you say?
I'd want to know how much you invested to make $5.
Basically I started, you gave me, take the investment out of it. Let me make this a little easier. I'm doing a terrible job here. Sorry. I started a business. I had $130 of sales. Think about vending machine, right? Okay, vending machine. I sold $130 for the product.
Are you saying that that's our margins per vehicle?
My take home was $5. Did I do pretty good? You're gonna say no. You want to say no, don't you? That's what GM is doing. So GM, 137 billion. I'm looking at 2019 total revenue. Okay, so sales of 137 billion. To make those sales, it cost them 123 million. So their gross profit was 13 million, right? So that's about 10% gross profit.
13 billion.
Question.
Is that what you said?
13 billion, but that's gross profit. That doesn't include operating.
Is that strictly car sales or is that gross?
That's everything on GM's income statement. Okay, so 10% gross profit. So that's like me saying I bought a Snickers for 90 cents and sold it for $1, basically. Then they've got operating expenses of 8 million. So their operating income was 5.5 million. Then they've got, some interest income, interest expense. And then you get down into, maybe they're doing some tax stuff down here. I'm not a financial person, but I should be able to read a financial statement. EBITDA, 0.
Would subsidiaries be with under GM?
They should be, yeah.
So like BrightDrop is our last mile delivery. I don't know if their financials are the same as GM's.
Well, they should be under the GM umbrella, so it should reflect in revenue. Like if GM did 100 million of car sales and 37 million of financing income, then their gross revenue
does that include global?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, but I already knew that like our margins are tiny on vehicles, right? Like the only way and I think this should tell you why I think Tesla's a bad investment, right? Like
Tesla's margin is way better than this.
Because they don't make.
Hold on a second. No, look, you're going to be buying some Tesla stock tomorrow.
No, I'm not buying Tesla stock.
Let me tell you. Okay, so you know what I should have done? I should have come to this prepared with an example. I've got two businesses. One does this and one does this. Which one do you like better? And
do you realize Tesla?
It's like the Coke Pepsi.
Do you realize Tesla has 3 vehicles? 3.
Dude.
3.
Well, they have more than that, but that's great. Like as an operations person, that's fantastic. It's so easy to manage 3 SKUs.
They can never get to the size. They can never get to the size of any legacy OEM with this amount of vehicles. They'll never dominate market share. They look like a Prius.
You're missing the point though. The Tesla brand is not just car sales.
It looks like a Prius.
They've got so many other like revenue generating opportunities. I don't care what it looks like. I
just named off 12 of you for GM, and you're like dismissing them. And we have the same
12 what?
We have the same
cars. I don't care about the cars, dude. Oh, 12 revenue streams, you're saying?
Yeah. And we have way more cars than that. We also have like 30 global brands. So just saying.
Well, look, I don't want to embarrass myself arguing about car brands that I don't know that much about. But let me just tell you, Tesla's revenue as of the end of 2022, 81 billion. Is this right? That was more than that. Gross profit, 20 billion. So on less revenue, Tesla had more gross profit than GM. Actually, I was looking at GM in 2019. So
yeah, actually, at the same time, let me know how much Tesla invested into scaling their business, because we invested
everything. They invested everything that they made back in the business, I think. And then some, probably. I don't know.
Well, I will say
we're getting out of my pay grade
Nick,
here,
I agree with you. Tesla's an EV company. Margins are higher on EV vehicles. I will say that. We are in the process. A lot of our money that is, profit, we're reinvesting into growing this EV business. When we can get, in 5-10 years, when we're just selling EVs, it's completely different. And we still have the global market share we do.
You know what? Really what this does to me, and I've been realizing this recently. I do not like investing in the stock market for this reason because, like, you look at GM, it's a huge global storied brand and company. They just don't make that much money. They just don't. And so, like, if I buy GM stock, do they even pay a dividend? Like, what's in it for me to buy the stock? Why wouldn't I just buy another vending machine? Okay, so their price to earnings ratio is 6. That's pretty low. So for every $6 I give them, they earn $1, basically, I think. Every $6 I pay. They do pay a dividend, 0.44%. That's terrible. And over the last year, their stock price is down. So do you get GM stock or do you get a discount?
I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about that on here.
You don't? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, let me look at Tesla now. Okay. So we just established that if I invest $6, I should get about $1 back price to earnings. It's not really how price to earnings works. Probably sound like a dumbass on this thing. Okay. Price to earnings on Tesla is 54. So if you're Warren Buffett, you don't want to buy Tesla, you want to buy GM. But Tesla's got a bunch of growth price into that. I'm actually trying to sell my Tesla stuff.
Well, you should have sold it when it hit 210.
I sold calls on it, covered calls, 200 strike price.
Nice.
So for a while there, I was panicking.
Here you go. You want to know why Tesla makes a lot? You want to know why Tesla makes a lot of money? And I should have told you this before. They don't spend a single dollar on marketing.
Yeah.
So do you know how much money we probably spend on marketing across all of our brands? A ton of money.
A lot.
Every year. You know what I mean? And so I think, but at some point though, Nick, the whole Elon effect is going to die down, right? Like I would say right now, and I think you could agree with me, that when Tesla first came out, even I was like, oh my God, super cool. I want a Tesla, right? I can't say that I'm like, oh, I want a Tesla now. Everyone has one. They look like a Toyota Prius now. I
agree with you. I don't think they look very good. I just like,
and they're not built well.
Like you said, I just like the brand, you know, like I'm not a big fan of the car. I do think the Cybertruck is pretty sick. So I'm going to probably buy one of those, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Is it going to be your daily driver or what?
No, I think I'm going to probably use it to fill up these vending machines and then put it on Turo and run it out. I don't know.
Yeah,
we're a GM family. I drive a GMC Sierra and Breland drives a Tahoe. So we're a GM family.
Let me tell you this, okay? Tesla's market cap or market value is almost 900 billion. Ford 57, GM is 52. They're
not anymore. They're not though. They were for a while.
Oh, was this a while ago? This was July of 2022.
That's before they crashed. Okay, so they're 600 billion now. And they just doubled in the last month, so they were down to 300 billion. That's because people see this as more than just a company that sells cars. So
yeah, but what else do they do?
Well, they're going to have robo-taxis, supposedly, which is basically take Uber and Lyft.
Have you heard of Cruise?
Hit Control-Alt-Delete on them and get them out of here.
Have you heard of Cruise? Have you heard of Cruise?
Is that what GM is doing for robo-taxis?
We just got our first approval to test on public roads in San Francisco or Arizona. I forget one of the states. Cruise has been a subsidiary of ours for a while.
Well, maybe I need to buy some GM, dude. Who am I kidding? I'm not buying either of these things. I'm going to buy some more vending machines.
Yeah, I want to. I'm tired of the stock market too. I am annoyed. I hate it.
Dude, the stock, it sucks, man. It's like I look at my account every day. I'm like, I'm too emotional to be investing in the stock market. It's easier said than done. Like, I get it. You're supposed to just, and I do all the auto investing stuff. I got my 401k and all that, all that. I was going to say.
Oh my God. Ford had a The manufacturer of the electric pickup F-150 Lightning explained, however, that its profits have been reduced by $2.4 billion in value due to its stake in Rivian. Rivian's stock price fell 49% in the second quarter. Ford announced its regulatory filings that it sold a total of 15 million Rivian shares. The Dearborn Group, which is probably their investment group, still holds 86.95 million Rivian shares. What I find interesting is a company like Ford investing in a company like Rivian. I don't necessarily know why, unless maybe they thought about buying it like as like a spinoff to like their EV trucks. But I don't understand why you do that.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Tesla manages costs better. I think yeah, I mean, you have the Elon effect. Good or bad. I mean, in my role, I did a earned media analysis of like what has Tesla earned, based on posts that other people are sharing, right? And it's like just substantially more money than any other OEM, and it's not even close, right? And they do a good job because like the people that have them seem to be just like these loyalists, and they're younger. A lot of our, you look at our main demographic, it's like 55 and up. They're not the ones that are on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook posting.
That's why you got to get us a sponsorship.
Yeah, you want to.
Dude, Breland gets like 1 million views a month or something nuts. Like probably way more than that. I have no idea how to even put a number on it, but dude, she's had like a number of videos get north of 1 million views.
I mean, look, if it was up to me, I think it's a smart idea to have someone like your wife as an influencer or a
brand ambassador.
A brand ambassador for GM. She drives a GM vehicle. You're a young family. You fit the demographic of our future buyer, right? Millennials are now like the oldest millennial is like 43, 44. Like our buying demographic has to change. But I think it's still like, it's still an adjustment, right? Because we still have this demographic of older buyers and we have to appease those, and they're our core buyer and it's not changed yet. But I think like, it very well could be in like 4 or 5 years when our buyer is now younger and we have our software, is equivalent to what Tesla is. And we have these very cool, unique EV vehicles that you have the same type of like loyalty and posting about it as Tesla. Like I really believe there's a lot of people in our company, when I bring up like Tesla as a competitor, because I work in the software space, a lot of people are like, I don't even view them as a competitor. And I know that might be shocking to hear, but I think like a lot of people think a lot more like long-term of like GM's been around 100 years, 100 plus years. And like, we're only getting better, like understanding how to be a more efficient company and diversify revenue streams. So I think like there's going to be a point where like Tesla's going like this, and then they're going to start going like this, while other OEMs are like down here just slowly coming up, and then they're going to pass them because they have the manufacturing capabilities. They still have market share of a lot, they have like the trust of like safety. We've OnStar. I think there is like this hype still around Tesla. And I think that the stock price is not even a true reflection of like customer satisfaction, but more so of a lot of people in the stock market who, believe, who are like Elon cult followers, right?
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little bit more homework on this stuff. I'm going to come with a bull case for Tesla next time we talk. I should already have one since I'm on the stock, but my bull case is not very well researched. So anyway, I think we call it here, dude. We'll spend some time editing this and then get it out, but let's try to do this again in a couple of days. I want to talk about inflation. I've got a ton of business ideas that I want to get your thoughts on. Things that I don't have time to do, but I think other people could make a lot of money doing, or things that I might do, I just haven't started yet.